What's up everybody, raid testing back on the menu, and today we're taking a look at heroic Skolex the Insatiable Ravener in the new raid Sepulcher of the first ones. Keep in mind that this is PTR raid testing, so a lot of things can change. Now, Skolex the Sandworm, patchwork-esque fight, very scripted. Now the main mechanic is Unending Hunger and Ephemera Dust. Unending Hunger is triggered when everyone in the raid stacks, and I mean everyone. Now when this happens, Skolex burrows underground and emerges where the raid is stacked after a little bit, indicated by a swirly circle around where you stacked when this was triggered. Now anyone hit by this takes around 20k damage and loses all stacks of Ephemera Dust, and it also knocks you back, which you can use to position yourself with. Now Ephemera Dust is a stacking dot that according to journal lasts for 5 minutes, but during testing it was just infinite. So you do want to get nommed by the Unending Hunger to lose your dust stacks, and it is applied by some of Skolex's other abilities. Now on top of that, anytime Skolex eats the raid, it gains a stack of Insatiable, which is a 10% damage increase. Now Skolex also drops a collapsing rift where it burrows that deals around 220k damage to anyone within 20 yards of the boom boom, which means you cannot bait Unending Hunger on top of the boss if you want to reset your dust stacks, but more on this soon. So yeah, you'll want to reset dust stacks by triggering Unending Hunger as few times as possible due to the damage increase it gets, and that will largely be based on how many stacks of Ephemera Dust you'll safely be able to out-heal. Now these dust stacks are applied by Dust Flail and Dust Blast. Dust Flail is just a raid-wide AoE that Skolex casts every now and then, deals damage to everyone and applies a stack of dust. And Dust Blast happens anytime the boss casts its tank combo, which is a 3-part combo of Rends and Rift Moss. So anytime one of those goes off, Dust Blast goes off at the 3 furthest away players and deals damage to them and anyone within 10 yards of them, and it also applies a stack of dust per hit. So 3 stacks on each of those 3 players, meaning that you want to have 3 players always be furthest away and you want to rotate those blast soakers so you spread the dust stacks around the raid. Now following this we have the aforementioned tank mechanic Rift Maw and Rend. 3-stage attack where boss casts either Rift Maw or Rend. Rend deals a very large amount of physical damage and applies a nasty bleed that lasts for 26 seconds to anyone in front of the boss. And Rift Maw hits everyone in front of the boss for a large amount of shadow damage and increases damage taken by Rift Maw by 500%. So pretty much if one tank gets Rift Maw, other tank taunts. Use cooldown for Rend if needed. On top of this, Skolex has a Sludge Fist-esque aura attack, Wormhole Jaws. Hits the next closest player within 10 yards. So unlucky melee DPS or perhaps the other tank. If there's no other player than the active tank within 10 yards, it slaps the tank twice. And if no targets are in melee range, it starts one-shotting players instead. Now to top it off, we have 2 more abilities, which is Devouring Blood and Wretch. Devouring Blood periodically spawns throughout the entire fight. Spawns near/underneath players within 20 yards of the boss. So melee have fun, and range don't be within 20 yards. You also get a haste reduction if you get hit by these Devouring Blood puddles, so it's actually a DPS loss to stand in sheet. For this we had 1 melee follow 1 marked melee player to keep the pool stacked, and they moved as a group when they spawned. Now for Wretch, boss faces a random player and wretches up acid in that direction in a cone. Seem to favor ranged players or largest clump of players. Now if you get hit, you take a ton of damage, a nasty dot that lasts for 12 seconds, and during those 12 seconds you will be teleported randomly twice, and then you get disoriented for 2 seconds. So don't get hit, although I would love it if you have to get hit by this on mythic. Hi-ho, rando teleport tactic. And yes, the Devouring Blood pools spawn during wretches. Sounds like a lot, but it's pretty straightforward to be honest. Cue the picture! We marked out 3 locations in a triangle pattern. 1 mark was where boss is on pull, the other 2 marks to make a neat little triangle. And we assigned 6 soaks for the Dust Blast. On pull, boss starts at X mark, range DPS and healers around star mark, and the 3 first Dust Blast soakers behind the range DPS. Tanks make sure to face boss away and be a few yards apart of each other so Riftmine Ren doesn't cleave, but still close enough to get hit by the wormhole jaw cleave. Doing it this way means Wretch will always be towards star mark, at which point everyone except the tanks move over to the green mark instead, and 3 new Dust Blast Soakers move out behind range on green. Next Wretch, go back to star, new Soakers out, and during the third Wretch we had everyone move to the green mark, including tanks, to trigger the Unending Hunger. Everyone stacks, boss hops up on green mark, eats the raid, and then it's rinse repeat but with other marks. So after that, boss will be on green mark and raid can stack on X, for example, and you go between star and X. On the third Wretch you'd stack on star to trigger the next Unending Hunger, rinse repeat. And why we do it during the Wretches is simply cause tanks can safely move in and stack with the raid without killing everyone. Now how many Wretches you can do between triggering Unending Hunger will again depend on how the dot is tuned once this goes live. Can't trust those PTR numbers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Updated guides will be out once the raid is out, if they need to be updated. And like I said, it's PTR, so a lot of things can change. And if they change the fight a lot and we get to test it again during PTR, I'll make an updated PTR video as well. Now, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments or become a patron and get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can find raid week auras, notes, and a ton of helpful people for all your raiding progression needs. It's also the fastest way to get a hold of me. I'm also streaming all raid testing during PTR, as well as all progression raids on Thursdays and Sundays. And I am playing with a Swedish guild now for progression, so streams during progression will be a bit swinglish. Now, don't forget the usual YouTubey stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.